Hey guys, back this time to talk a little Chiefs Colts. First game of the divisional round weekend. Total for the game opened at 56. Chiefs minus 4.5. Seeing it now, Chiefs 5.5, even 5 at some places. Total 57. I gotta say, guys, I'm interested in the fact that the total has moved up because weather is not going to be pretty there on Saturday. It's going to be wintry conditions. It's arguably going to be worse here than it will be in New England. Um, Talking some type of rain snow mix all day. Nothing, no kind of snow is expected to pile up. But to me, it's interesting that the line would open at that, and then people would be pounding the over, especially with that news. Pretty easily available. Now I get it; these two teams could easily pile up points throughout the entire game. Just saying that at some point during the game, the weather, we would assume it would take a toll. So I'm going to give you some different perspectives for this game. So the Colts, coming off a really impressive win against Houston on the road, they've looked really good. 10-1 their last 11. They're kind of becoming like this playoff darling. I want to mention real quick though, it seems like since basically 4 dogs covered last week in the wild card weekend. I mean, if Seattle was a dog if you got them at 2.5, which it seems like a lot of people did. That has no relevance at all into this week. I feel like you hear this all the time. Oh, you play the dogs in the NFL in playoffs. Always play the dogs. Kind of. The thing is, guys, it's always about the number. Okay, the number is the most important part. While it seems so obvious, I feel like some people sometimes get caught up in the fact that a bunch of dogs just covered this past weekend, so let me just ride that into this upcoming weekend. Has no relevance. No relevance at all. I'm not saying all 4 dogs can't cover this weekend. Just saying has no relevance. Teams are playing well. Teams aren't playing well. You can make the argument for both sides in every game. What you got to do is you got to be looking at certain numbers and where you can find advantages, in that aspect. Now here, like I said, the total for the game a little high for me. I wouldn't say that I'm going to bet the game under. I'm just saying the total is a little high for me at 57. To expect that out of a playoff game this time of year in cold weather like that, if anything, I favor the under, but again, not a bet I'm making. As far as like breaking down each team, so the Colts in this spot, like I said, coming off a really nice win against Houston. They've been playing really well. They're getting a decent amount of points here. I would expect that line to creep down as we get closer to the game. I just feel like you're hearing all over the media how good the Colts are. It's going to start to impact people's betting decisions when it comes time to it. I feel like people are going to bet the Colts. It's not going to surprise me at all if this line goes back to 4.5. In the coming days. This is Wednesday night where this video is coming out. Just because again, you're a lot of people are going to argue the Colts aren't getting enough respect with that line. Chiefs have been the #1 team all year in the AFC. You could argue it's a soft number for them as well. A team that's looked really, really polished at home. But, ultimately the Colts are playing really well. Andrew Luck is really leading that offense. And Marlon Mack has been great. The Chiefs defense is extremely suspect. I'm not expecting them to, show up and show out against the Colts here. So, definitely you can make the argument for the Colts. I'm not gonna go against that. As far as the Chiefs side, for me, it's Andy Reid in these big games, right? I feel like every year he loses these big games. Now, granted, this is a good spot for him. Pat Mahomes, you could argue, might be the most talented quarterback he's ever had the opportunity to coach. I mean, he's obviously coached McNabb, Alex Smith. Nothing really incredible there. McNabb had some good years there in Philly, especially when he had T.O. with him. But for the most part, this is, I think undoubtedly Andy Reid's best roster he's had. My issue with him is his inability to call an entire game successfully. But what Andy Reid does do in playoff games is he does come out quick. The offense, you can never really question Andy Reid's ability to run an offense, especially early on in a game. He comes out with an awesome game plan. And look, there should be scoring in this game. I mean, there should be scoring. I get the weather issue. There should be scoring. I think that goes, almost as an obvious fact. Now, as far as like the size of this game, like I said, I kind of gave you a little bit of perspective of both sides. The Chiefs it wouldn't surprise me in the least if the Chiefs won this game by 2 touchdowns. Wouldn't surprise me in the least if the Colts upset the Chiefs here. You could really make the argument for both sides. I do want to give you a bet though. A bet that I really like in this game is I'm seeing first quarter over 10 points minus 125. I love this over. Now, I know I said to you about, I like the total under for the game. Weather like this tends to impact the game as it goes on, okay? You don't get stronger in weather like this. Maybe you start out quick, the defense is still trying to figure itself out. You got two teams that are tremendous offenses. The Chiefs are number 1 in scoring in the first quarter. Colts are number 4 in scoring in the first quarter. Colts put up 14 right away against Houston last week. The Chiefs, are no stranger to scoring early on in games. They've been doing it all year. Like I said, they're the number 1 scoring team in the first quarter. Just feel like you have a game here where getting a number I consider to be soft in this spot. Now, the total could go down a bit if people start to realize about these weather problems in this game. If that total goes down, I think you'll be able to get over 10 at a decent price instead of getting it at over 125. I've also seen some places where it's 10.5 at dog money. Keep in mind, guys, 10 is a key number, especially for a first quarter, especially where you're not going to get a whole lot of scoring. A field goal, with needing to go over 10, you're going to need 3 scores. I like the number at 10. 10.5 I'm not in love with. If you can get it at a dog price and you feel like it's worth it, fine. But for me, you're going to see, and I saw some books don't have this line even out yet, but I would expect this number to be 10 at about minus 125. And again, I love the bet. Two teams that come out, fast scoring. Andy Reid's always been fast coming out scoring in these games. My issue with Andy Reid is his inability to close a game like this. That's why I'm not really too fond of one side versus the other here. The total for the game is probably right, but the weather's going to play a factor. It's just a matter of how much of a factor. But I do believe early on these two teams are going to come out prepared and definitely going to put a lot of pressure on the defense. The Chiefs, what they certainly have to do is get that ball moving downfield, big plays, and the Colts running game has been working really well. Andrew Luck has no issue himself getting the ball down the field to T.Y. Hilton. So in this position, for this game, and granted, the numbers could float in any way. Like I feel like if somehow the line moves all the way down to 4, I really like the Chiefs at 4. If the point spread is 4, if the line somehow gets up to 6.5, I like the Colts getting 6.5. If you can find, again, guys, it's all about finding the right number. I'm not telling you that line movement's going to move and it's going to jump these numbers, but I'm saying that the line as it is today is a fair line on this game. Okay, you can have the argument for both sides, as I said. I'm not going to give you a pick on either way there. Total's probably fair. It's just a matter of how much of impact the weather is going to be. But for me, first quarter over 10 minus 125. That bet's a slam dunk for me. Okay, two extremely fast-paced teams. Two extremely efficient teams that come out early and score early. Okay, they don't settle for field goals. These are teams that look to get the ball in the end zone early. You got Vinatieri on the Colts side, who most certainly is no stranger to kicking field goals in shitty weather. And Harrison Butker for the Chiefs, who's been, a really good kicker for the last few seasons. Not really concerned with them being able to bang down a field goal in the first quarter. Needed to get us to 10 for a push if needed. But again, I do believe these two teams will do enough to get us over 10 for that first quarter. So I'm hammering away at that. I'll give you guys a few more bets. I'll give you guys a few bets for the other games as well. I know I covered the Patriots game. This obviously game is covered. But I will also have a video for player props. I don't see them necessarily in the week, and I'm going to be pretty busy this weekend. So I'm not going to have time to get you guys to do all the videos towards the end of the week. I want to get you guys the perspective on the games early. And then later in the week, I will do a video specifically on player props where I'll give you guys like 9 to 10 player props I'd like for all 4 games combined. But yeah, for here, guys, pretty simple for me. First quarter over 10, minus 125. Love that. So I hope you guys bet it. Feel free to comment below on what you think of the game, what your thoughts are, who you like, who you don't like, what you think of the total. Is the weather going to be impacting? Like I said, feel free to drop a comment below. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already. I'll give you guys a few more vids for the other NFL games for the week. And thanks again, guys, for viewing.